thank you all for being here tonight to our second meeting in September of the Floyd County Commission. I apologize to you for being a little late coming out, but we had several things that took a little bit of time in there. We're going to start our meeting tonight with Commissioner Maxey, who is going to do our invocation and lead us in the pledge. If you'd like to join us, we encourage you to stand.
God, most gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we do thank you for this day. It's a beautiful day it is, Lord. We ask you to be with all of us that are here, fellow commissioners, that we do choose to make the right decision that would be, of course, what's best for Floyd County. Lord, we ask you to be with our public safety employees, give them a safe journey. Lord, we ask you to be with all our county employees and our citizens. Lord, we ask you to bless these things in our name. In your sake, thank you. Join me in the pledge, please.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Maxey, second by Commissioner Waters to approve the agenda. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Wallace? Yes. Commissioner Maxey?
Yes.
Commissioner Hancock?
Yes.
Vice Chair Waters? Yes. Chair Bagby?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. We have several people who would like to speak tonight, and I'm going to call you in the order in which you signed up. As you will remember, most of you have done this before. You will have 3 minutes apiece. The time will be on the screen so that you can see that. We ask you to be vigilant of your time because there are a lot of people that want to have something to say. So we'll start off with Terry Wright.
Terry Wright, P.O. Box 35, Coosa. We were thanked by you at the last meeting for our participation, but I believe there is some confusion. We are not giving you thoughts and opinions to go in one ear and out the other. We have mostly been stating facts and legal violations, mostly proven through open records request. As an example, it was discussed that there is no background check of any kind done on Vanessa Waddell. A position so sensitive as the one she holds, and there is no background check? This is the response we got from Virginia Harmon through an open records request. This is not something we made up. We did not ask for the background check itself, just what type, who did it, and anything legally obtainable. We have not been getting up here for over 3 months, so you can ignore us. We are not asking for a professional review. We are telling you that we have given you the justification for one, and we want it requested. What good was it to put that authority in Senate Bill 202 if not to be used and acted upon? Again, we are not asking. We are pointing out your obligation to the citizens of Floyd County to address these violations through Senate Bill 202 with the request of a professional review. In writing Senate Bill 202, they entrusted you with the authority as they have with most election rules. I use the word entrusted. We are trusting you to act. We did that when we voted for you. You cannot have the mindset that you have 4 more years and all this will blow over by then. That is the mindset of a ruler. And I must remind you, you are a public servant. We voted for you to do our will, not your will. You are obligated and justified to ask for a professional review. If that is not your intention, then tell us now. How can you ignore the violations that have been brought before you? And I reserve the remainder of my time for your answer. Thank you.
I'm not really sure on the second person here. Is it Verbino?
Sir, aren't you going to use the remainder of the time to address the question?
I beg your pardon?
She reserves the remainder of her time for you to answer her questions. Are you going to address those?
We are aware of the accusations, and we're studying those and looking at them, and we will address them. I wouldn't guarantee you it'll be tonight, but we'll see.
Angela Verbino, 1410 Kingston Highway. We are here this evening and will continue to be here every evening until we get our professional review. We will not sit idle or quiet while everyone is operating out of their own consent, out of our consent, We are asking and will continue asking, We deserve to know that our elections are free, fair, and safe here in Rome. I would like to know why the bylaws are not available to the public without having an open record request. Why do we not have a bipartisan election board, and why isn't that in our bylaws? I also choose to reserve the remaining time for you to answer my questions.
Does anyone here have a comment on that? No? We'll move on to the next, and Mark Swanson is next. And Pam Peters.
Yes, Pam Peters and I are going to tag team a letter tonight because my letter was a little longer than 3 minutes. And so I'm going to start the letter and then she will finish it. My name is Mark Swanson. I reside at 224 Rollingwood Circle. And this is our fourth letter to you guys regarding violations of elections laws by our county elections office in the past 2 elections. Our last letter and report read into the minutes at our last commission meeting by investigative partner Pam Peters highlighted 115 violations of elections laws in just the January 5th runoff election alone, and just on ballot drop boxes. To be clear, that election was run by the interim chief clerk, Vanessa Waddell, who is a 20-plus year elections veteran, and the current Board of Elections to include Melanie Conrad, Chair, John Scott Husser, and Corey Townsend. In a previous letter to the commissioners, I also provided guidance on SB 202 that allows the commissioners to formally request a performance review of our elections office. In that letter, we cite the relevant sections that our state legislatures provided for our governor to sign into law in March of this year. We also concluded each of the letters based upon the mounting evidence and significant volumes and severity of violations of elections law that a performance review should be ordered immediately. We even provided a draft resolution for you to do so. As of today, we have partially completed an external audit via open records request of the election equipment security leading up to the January 5th runoff and subsequent. This audit examined the requirements of the law regarding election equipment security as outlined in OCGA 183-1-12-.04 through 183-1-12-.06. A summary of my findings are as follows. 24 out of 24, 100% of all equipment chain of custody forms were signed by individuals with no record of signing the required oath of custodians and deputy custodians. 6 of the 24 of the equipment chain of custody forms were not signed by elections office personnel as being properly checked out of storage. It should also be noted that Shirley Mosley signed all of the equipment chain of custody forms as election staff for both checking out and checking in the election equipment in and out of storage, except for the forms missing a signature. It should be investigated as to the veracity of her signatures because there are significant inconsistencies noted within these signatures such that there is a concern that some of these signatures may have been forged. There were 6 violations that related to the door to the elections equipment room in the Floyd County Admin Building. This building has been found wide open and unattended on the following dates documented by photos: 8/23/21 at 5:08 p.m., 9/2/21 at 10:06 a.m., 9/8/21 at 12:32 p.m., 9/9/21 at 10:59 a.m., 9/15/21 at 9:39 a.m., and on 11/17/20, I have an eyewitness account that a Democratic Party worker took an inspector from the Georgia Secretary of State's office, Gilbert Humes, into an open elections equipment room.
Hey, Mark, can we switch over to Pam now? We've
Okay.
run out of time.
Violation 183-1-12.043, the elections equipment storage is not equipped with at least one of the required security devices on the door, to include keypads, electronic locks, motion detectors, video surveillance, or security system monitored by an outside source. A total of 37 violations were identified in this narrow review. This is on top of 115 violations identified in the ballot drop box review for the January 5th election. That brings us to a grand total of 152 violations in just January 5th, 21 runoff election. How many more violations do you want us to find before you will take action? As our previous letters indicated, your elected state legislatures and our governor have provided a way for you to determine if our elections office performed within established election laws of Georgia. I remind you that our elections board and interim chief clerk are already under investigation by the Attorney General's office for the missing 2,800 votes found during the recount of the 2020 general election. It's time to determine if our elections office and board have violated any of our state elections laws and be judged accordingly. Indeed, SB 202 provides that if only 3 violations have occurred, the state election board can remove election officials. So far, in my narrow and limited scope, we have found 152 possible violations of law in just January 5 runoff election. The state only requires 3 violations to remove election officials, but so far, we found 152 violations, and you have yet to order a performance review. How many more do you need to take action you are empowered and elected to take? We don't know whether a crime has occurred here in Floyd County regarding our last 2 elections. However, we have clearly documented a means, motive, and opportunity for a crime to have occurred. It's time we find out what happened and if our elections office performed the last election within the scope of the law. Failure to take action at this point that is within your legal right is to turn your backs on the people who elected you to this position. Failure to take action that is within your legal right is to turn your backs on the rule of law in our elections. And consider this: failure to take action that is within your legal right appears to make you culpable and complicit in all these violations, since you appoint, fund, house, and approve personnel decisions for our elections office. And rest assured, this important the issue is too important. We will not stop until an SB 202 performance review is completed. Our way of life as we know it depends upon election integrity, and our series of letters have confirmed, documented the lack thereof right here in Floyd County.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark and Pam. Mark, did you have copies of those to give to the election board?
Yeah, he gave it to
You
Aaron.
got that? Okay. Thank you very much. I skipped David Smith. If you want to back up to David.
Good evening. I'd like to just start off by saying a couple of weeks ago I talked a little bit about the masks and stuff, and I know that's a bit of a polarizing issue and not really even that important, but I feel like I I should at least say, I feel like it would set a better example for you guys, and I respect your positions, and I'll understand there's political things to worry about and all, but there's no science backing the masks. Why we continue to wear masks in spite of all the evidence, I think it sets a bad example for the community. And our congresswoman takes all the flack she gets, takes fines from the Democrats in the House for not wearing the mask because it's turned into such a political thing. And I know we all understand that, have our opinions and stuff, but I personally feel like it set a better example being an all-conservative commission, but that's a pet peeve of mine. We all saw what's gone on in the past several years after Mr. Trump was elected, just the show that has gone on in our country. One political party, well, actually both, have thrown everything that they could possibly find to throw to try to do anything to get him out of office. So when this election came up, was anyone really surprised when what happened has happened? The election, the fraud, the irregularities, everything that's gone on, we should have seen it coming. And the things that have gone on, that have been uncovered, that the Supreme Court refuses to look at, a lot of the courts and all throughout the country, the point is there's evidence, there's so much evidence to anyone that takes it upon themselves to do the investigation, to look, to try to figure out what's going on. The evidence is overwhelming that this election was fraudulent, an illegitimate president is in the White House right now. That has had dire effects on all of us, on the country. What just happened, there's, 13 service members killed in Afghanistan just this past month or so because of this. What's going on at the border. There's so many things, we all know, that are going on in the country that go back to a fraudulent election that there's overwhelming proof of, but all the people in positions of power that could do something about it, whenever they talk a good game, and then when it comes time to actually do something, that they hide, they do something, they come up with an excuse, there's some reason why they can't do it. And that's why we're so adamant that you guys please move forward with this review. We know it's just a first step. What'll come of it, maybe we don't know yet, but we got to get the ball rolling. We got to figure out something. There's a lot of bad things happened, and we're about to have another election coming up here for the city and county school board and all that. We're supposed to do that on the same election machines, the same equipment, the same process. Basically, people don't have any faith in it, and there's people that's not going to participate in the election because they don't think that their vote really counts. And so I'd just like to see something done about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Larry Wright.
My name is Larry D Wright, 5092 Foster's Mill Road, Cave Spring, Georgia. Good evening, gentlemen and ladies. I understand the Board of Elections that is being increased in size, and I just wonder what type of manpower allocation and distribution survey or study was done to increase and determine the workload that was justified this increase in personnel. And as we understand, there is no background check that has been done on some of the candidates that applied for that position, and a very limited background check would be asking for a sealed transcript from the college or university which that person says they attended. A sealed transcript is not hard to get. Universities know that people apply for jobs, that they need those in a hurry, and they usually get them out within a week to 10 days tops. And people that are assuming to apply for a job usually have sealed copies from their university, which they keep in case they do apply for a job. Another minimum I would have thought would have happened would be a check of the National Crime Information Center, or even Georgia through the GBI system. I know you probably have an answer to that. Are those types of things done in a position that I would expect to be called an executive position, not only because of pay, but because of the seriousness of the position, which the person who gets this position permanently would hold. Can you tell us whether or not any of these things have been done or will be done in the future? If they're not going to be done, then this would be a perfect place to apply for a job. I've got a PhD, maybe I'm a medical doctor. Are you going to look at those background? If people can put any type of background in their application as far as universities and experience, and you're not going to check on it to make sure that those things are factual, how do we know these people have those type of degrees and have the respect of the community, knowing that we have qualified people to perform those duties and increase the load capacity of the section of the Board of Elections to more than double to do a position that one person held in the past. I hope there are going to be, if not already done, these types of background investigations. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Kim, and I'm having trouble with the last name. Wedgeworth, thank you.
Kim Wedgeworth, 294 Troutman Road. Ahead of the 2021 elections and all elections going forward, the Floyd County Board of Commissioners should ensure that it is protecting and expanding voter access for eligible voters. It can do this by continuing to support the Board of Elections so that the Board of Elections have the resources it needs to ensure all voters in the county have access to a equitably placed ballot drop box, and that all early voting sites are fully staffed and accessible. This must include offering early voting on both Sundays, offering early voting from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. so that all voters can participate in our elections, even if they work irregular hours or have family obligations. Installing the maximum number of ballot drop boxes at permitted under SB 202, and ensuring that all poll worker positions for early vote and election day are filled. The Board of Commissioners also could make sure the Board of Elections have the resources and support it needs to clearly communicate and publicize the hours and location for voters to cast their ballot by updating their website with information on early voting locations and hours, drop box locations and hours, and election day voting information, including precinct location and hours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Michael Morgan.
Can everybody hear me okay? My name is Michael Morgan. I reside at 1235 Radio Springs Road in Rome. I'd like to start off with a justification of why I'm here by quoting two paragraphs from our Georgia State Constitution. The first one comes from Article 1, Section 1, Paragraph 9, the right to assemble and petition. The people have the right to assemble peaceably for the common good and to apply by petition or remonstrance to those vested with the powers of government for redress of grievances. The second one comes from Article 1, Section 2, Paragraph 1 the origin and foundation of government. All government of right originates with the people, is founded upon their will only, and is instituted solely for the good of the whole. Public officers are the trustees and servants of the people and are at all times amenable to them. So the first thing I'd like to address is I feel that we need to demand that we have a real voting technology be put into service that cannot be compromised, verifying and ensuring a fair, transparent, and honest election, the roots of which is election integrity, okay? I believe we should immediately redraw Floyd County voting precinct lines to reduce the precinct sizes to 1,000 voters or less. I believe we should secure protection of individual liberties, such as the right to choose what medical treatments are acceptable and not acceptable, i.e. the China virus vaccine. I believe we should establish a plan for compensation and liability for harm against those who have been coerced into taking the vaccine via mass media influence and federal government influence, as well as mandate with illegal passage of the use of vaccine approvals from the FDA and other federal agencies. I will leave the remaining elements here of this paper for future delivery so as to effectively manage my allocation of time. And regarding the time, yeah, I yield the rest of it, 14 seconds. So
Thank you very much.
I'll see you again next time.
Missy Gomez.
I'm Missy Gomez of 5 Heather Circle, Cave Spring, and I am here to address a different issue tonight, something that's not on the agenda yet. And this is
Missy,
regarding...
can you
Yes, sure. Can you hear me? Okay. This is regarding the Blaze Ultra Lounge out on Highway 27 beside Pasquale's at the entrance of Northwoods, where my daughter resides with my 2 grandsons, ages 1 and 5. I hear that they have applied for a beer and wine license there. Just want to let you guys know this is not desired by that community at all. They've been dealing with loud noise that to the point of awaking my family in the early hours of the morning, where she's had to move to a different room so they could be able to sleep. They've been dealing with littering, as these people that are attending these concerts here are parking up and down the road in front of my daughter's house, all the other residents' houses. They are throwing down their beer cans on the streets of Northwoods. And I just want to say, I'm not opposed with the right tenant in there to you guys offering beer and wine license. But before you approve this, I would love for you guys to come out and attend one of these parties or these concerts or these events and see what's going on. I want you to see how late in the night or how early in the morning they are being so loud out there. You know, they don't respect our community. They don't respect our ordinances that we have in place. And I'm just urging you, before you issue this license, please just listen to what we're saying, listen to what the citizens want, and we'll be back when this is on the agenda to discuss it a little bit more. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss. Susan Harrell.
Hi, my name is Susan Harrell. I live at 5109 Foster's Mill Road. I have not worked as a poll watcher or personally witnessed any deviations or violations of our election laws. I am just a concerned citizen of Floyd County who wants our elections to be fair and just. I have talked with individuals who have worked our polls, and I have attended many commissioners' meetings, listening and learning. On August the 10th, at the commissioners' meeting, I sat to the right of Mrs. Wright in the center of this room. Each time I turned to speak to Mrs. Wright, I observed Mrs. Vanessa Waddell staring at her. Miss Waddell was sitting to the rear and just to the left of us. I found it odd that she was staring each time I looked, but I just laughed it off. On August 24th, Mrs. Wright and I stood against the rear wall with me standing to her right. Mrs. Waddell again sat to the left of us, but in front of us. Again, each time I looked her way, she was staring intently at Mrs. Wright. She had literally turned in her seat sideways in order to stare at Mrs. Wright. I began to be concerned of her intent, and because I had to leave before the meeting adjourned, I asked 2 individuals to keep an eye on the situation and Mrs. Wright. I am highly concerned that an individual who exhibits such unprofessional and frankly juvenile behavior could be over our elections office. I am asking you to reject any recommendation and to place Mrs. Waddell in the position of our chief elections clerk. I have witnessed this behavior again tonight, and I have given you 2 statements, signed statements of witnesses to this behavior. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Cheryl Garner.
I'm here tonight as a citizen with grave concerns about the recent efforts to discredit the Board of Elections and Vanessa Waddell in particular. Many people in the U.S. and even here in Floyd County realize that the past election cycle was a legitimate process. State by state, this has been proven time and time again after exhaustive reviews. We still live in a democracy. Voting needs to be a fully transparent and equitable process to all people of all colors and shapes and sizes. It doesn't need to be a process dictated by misinformation and fear, but by facts and reason. Thank you.
Peggy Reiners.
Hi, I'm Peggy Reiners. I live at 311 Clark Drive. I'm not coming to speak about any of their issues. I'm just coming to speak about the property of Northwest Georgia Regional. I worked there as a nurse for 4 years, and I was just really fell in love with the way that the land laid, the trees, how large and beautiful they are, and there's no hills, there's flat ground, it's easy for anyone to be able to get around in. I would like to see that property be used for residential, for mixed residential, for professionals that might want to come into the city to work, that need housing. Of course, you know right now housing is very desperately needed. And also for the elderly, because there's a bus line that goes out there and can pick them up if they can't drive. And there's nice walking areas that they could walk in. So I just urge you to consider the citizens of Floyd County and not put an industrial site there, because that's too close to Somerville Park. And there's other sites for industrial use that are here that have not been used. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Peggy. We appreciate all of you being here to speak your opinion. We appreciate that, and we take what you have to say seriously. So thank you very much for your comments. We'll move on into our regular business, and do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Of
Make
our
a motion
September
to approve.
14th meeting?
Second.
Rhonda. Motion by Commissioner Wallace, second by Commissioner Waters to approve the minutes. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Wallace?
Yes.
Commissioner Maxey?
Yes.
Commissioner Hancock?
Yes.
Vice Chair Waters? Yes. Chair Bagby?
Yes.
Motion carries.
We have no special recognitions tonight. We've got two proclamations, and I'm going to ask Commissioner Hancock, who is the chair of our public safety committees, to do our first one. And we'll invite our special guest to the front.
Yeah, don't trip. See, look, you're supposed to be helping him, Brenda. All right. We're going to read a proclamation for 2021 Fire Prevention Week. And bear with me, there's 11 whereas in this thing. So we'll start it off. Whereas the state of Georgia and Rome and Floyd County is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living and visiting our state. And whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally, nationally, and homes are the locations where the people are at greater risk from fire. And whereas home fires killed more than 2,770 people in the United States in 2019, according to the National Fire Protection Association, and the fire departments in the United States respond to 339,500 home fires. And whereas smoke alarms sense smoke well before you can, alerting you to the danger in the event of the fire, in which you may have as little as 2 minutes to escape safely. And whereas working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in a reported home fires in half. And whereas Georgia residents should be sure everyone in the home understands the sounds of the alarms and know how to respond. And whereas Georgia residents who have planned and practice a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. And whereas Georgia residents will make sure their smoke and CO alarms meet the standards of all their family members, including those with sensory or physical disabilities. And whereas Rome and Floyd County first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. Whereas Rome and Floyd County residents are responsive to the public education measures, are better able to make personal steps to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes. And whereas the 2021 Fire Prevention Week theme, Learn the Sound of Fire Safety, effectively serves to remind us the importance to learn the different sounds of the smoke alarm and carbon monoxide alarms. Therefore, I, on behalf of the Floyd County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim October the 3rd through the 9th, 2021 is Fire Prevention Week throughout the state, and I urge all people of Georgia to learn the sound of fire safety for Prevention Week 2021 and to support the many public safety activities and efforts of Rome and Floyd County Fire Emergency Services. Signed, the Chair of Floyd County Board of Commissioners, Wright Bagby. I would like to just say a couple other words before I let them speak. How many of you guys had fifth graders go through their fire prevention program? You know, all the little markers that you have in your driveway that have your address numbers on them, those come through this program. And I bet you if some of you do and you go back and look, you probably got a coffee can with something in it to put a fire out on your stove. Or either you have a fire extinguisher in there. We've probably got the best fire prevention program in the state of Georgia for our fifth grade kids. And these are the folks that do all that training for us, and we really appreciate everything they do.
Yeah, Linda, you want to say anything? This is highly unusual. I do want to say one thing that I'm sure most of you are aware of, but we're extremely fortunate in Rome and Floyd County to have a joint fire department that covers the whole county. And Mayor Catherine, 1 second, and I'll turn you loose. But if you have paid any attention to your insurance rates and you've ever lived somewhere else, our IOS rating in Rome and Floyd County is a 2, and that is unbelievable. And it saves us all hundreds and sometimes thousands of dollars on our insurance bills every year when we pay for our home and businesses and everything else because of that. And you should be extremely proud of that, and we're proud of y'all. So Mayor Catherine, if you want to say something, we'll let you do that.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of the RomeFloyd Fire Department, I would like to thank everybody here, the Floyd County Commissioners. We really appreciate this honor and the proclamation. And I would like to introduce our team members here. Fire Educator Linda Patty, of course Sparky. We have Fire Safety Educator, Shasta Farrer, Chief of Training, Jamie Stone, and Fire Inspector, Caleb Jackson. It's truly a team effort, and we're very excited about Fire Prevention Week as well as Fire Prevention Month through October. Thank y'all so very much.
Thank you.
Thank y'all so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We have another very important proclamation tonight that Commissioner Wallace is going to present for Manufacturing Day in Rome and Floyd County.
I told him we can't hear anything he's saying. Thank y'all for being here. This is a proclamation from Rome and Floyd County. Whereas Rome and Floyd County, Georgia recognizes the importance of manufacturing to our local, state, and global economy. And whereas Rome and Floyd County, Georgia manufacturers pay a significant amount of property tax and users fees, provide outstanding employment opportunities with both high wages and great benefits, and generate exceptional annual earnings, allowing them to be economic development drivers in our community and drive prosperity throughout the community. And whereas Rome and Floyd County, Georgia routinely sees the positive contribution of all local manufacturers and appreciates and thanks them for their continued commitment to the communities in which they serve. Now, therefore, be it resolved on behalf of the Floyd County Commission, the City of Rome, we do hereby proclaim October 1, 2021 as Manufacturing Day. We urge all the residents to join us in recognizing the critical role manufacturers play in our local, state, and global economy. This is signed by our Mayor, Craig McDaniel, and our Chair, Wright Bagby.
I'm Missy Kendrick. I'm with the RomeFloyd County Development Authority, and if you will give me just a moment to say just a couple of words on behalf of manufacturing. Our goal with the Development Authority is to create jobs and capital investment in our community, and we do this with manufacturing for several reasons. Manufacturing is the largest multiplier has the largest multiplier of effect of any economic sector in our community, which means that the dollars that are paid in wages and labor turn over in our community a number of times. That's the multiplier effect that we have with manufacturing. Also, every one manufacturing job creates another 5 jobs in our community, in the service sector and beyond, in both indirect jobs and induced jobs in our community. So a lot of times people like to just focus on property tax when it comes to manufacturers, but that's not the only benefit that manufacturers provide in our community. They are the largest users of utilities in our communities, which is a revenue stream coming back to us as a community. They are also the largest providers of benefits for their employees, which provides a rebate that comes back to us and to our community that we're able to use. Finally, and these are not the only benefits, but these are probably just the top benefits of manufacturing in our community. They're the first ones usually that we turn to when we're looking for support from our community for Little League, clubs, churches, events, whatever it is, they usually go to our manufacturers first, and without fail, they come through for us. So we appreciate the support that you and those of our within our community do to support our manufacturing, and Friday is October the 1st, National Manufacturing Appreciation Day, and we do truly appreciate the manufacturers that we have in our community.
Thank you, Missy. My name is Pam Power-Smith from the Rome Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to introduce Ben Murray from the Rome Chamber of Commerce. Here's our workforce person. I too just want to thank you for recognizing our manufacturers. They work hard, and they are typically quiet when they work hard in our community. And as we all know, they are struggling with workforce right now, and they're still working as hard as they can. They are quiet when they help our philanthropies in town, and we appreciate that, and we know y'all appreciate that too. So thank you so much.
Thank y'all. We have no first readings tonight. We have several, a good number of second readings, which will come from reports from our Planning Commission. And I want to give you a brief outline, if any of you are here to speak on these second readings for us to take action on tonight. Each one will have a public hearing. We will open the public hearing with Bryce Wood from our Planning Commission, who will give us a presentation of the item. Then we will open the public hearing. Those wishing to speak in favor of it will have up to 10 minutes. Those wishing to speak in opposition would have up to 10 minutes. As soon as that is over, the public hearing will be closed, and we'll go to Commissioner Maxey, who is our representative on the Planning Commission, for a motion so that we can take action on the item. That'll be the format we'll go by. If there are more than one of you who'd like to speak on a position on any of these, if you'd be cognizant, that's a total of 10 minutes. So be aware if there's more than one of you to leave time for the other person to speak. So Bryce, if you'd lead us off on item 1.
Yes, sir. The first one for tonight is file SUP 21-09-01, requesting a special use permit for a duplex for the property located at 2409 Maple Road, Rome, Georgia, Floyd County Tax Parcel J15X431, zoned high density traditional residential. This is a map of the property. The structure is already there. Historically, it was built as a duplex. At some point, it was converted to a single family home. The property owner is simply asking to convert it back into 2 one-bedroom units. It is at the corner of Maple Avenue. This is the zoning map for the area with the parcel outlined in red. This is the structure itself as it currently sits. Looking in from Maple Road, or Maple Avenue, excuse me. Some other pictures from the immediate area. Multiple other of the adjacent properties were historically duplexes that have since been converted into single-family homes. Some are still duplexes. This does come with a recommendation of approval from staff as well as the Planning Commission.
Thank you very much, Bryce.
Yes, sir.
We'll open the public hearing on this item. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak in favor of this proposal? Seeing none, is anyone here who'd like to speak in opposition? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing, and I'll ask Commissioner Maxey for a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Maxey, a second by Commissioner Waters to approve the request on item 1. Any further discussion? Please
Commissioner Wallace?
Yes.
Commissioner Maxey?
Yes.
Commissioner Hancock?
Yes.
Vice Chair Waters?
Yes.
Chair Bagby?
Yes.
Motion carries.
The next request is file SUP 21-09-02, requesting a special use permit for a manufactured home for the property located at 21 Green Street, Rome, Georgia, 30161, Floyd County Tax Parcel J13W004, Zone Suburban Residential. This is a map of the property. It is on the edge of the Celanese community and is only accessible through the community at the end of Green Street. As you can see, about 85% of the property is within the floodplain associated with Burwell Creek. This is a map of the zoning map for the area. There was a manufactured home on it up until about 3 years ago. It was removed. The property is currently predominantly vacant. There are various items throughout the property. This does come with a recommendation of denial from the Planning Commission and as well as the staff.
Thank you very much, Bryce. Is there we'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone here that'd like to speak in favor of this proposal? Just come forward and give us your name and address, please.
My name is Janet Langston. I live at 14 Ivy Street, Rome, 30161. This is my property. I've owned this property since 1986. I had a mobile home on it from 87 till it was damaged in a storm, and it was, we tore it down with the intention of putting another one there. I've been part of this community. I've lived in this community 50 of my 60 years. You know, this is 4 generations. I understand a neighbor's complaint and opposition to this, but the opposition was regarding an individual who came and was squatting on this property and would not leave. I had the police out there multiple times. They would not escort him off. I have filed a criminal trespassing warrant. We go to court on Friday to prevent this individual from coming back. I just want to move. In this mobile home, it's a $74,000 home. It is a brand new 2021 model, upscale model. My land value per the tax commission is over $24,000. So this is not going to depreciate the surrounding houses. It's going to be an upgrade because we'll be living there, better able to upkeep the land. I just want to move home. I have done everything I can do to abide by whatever recommendations or whatever. I don't see that one neighbor who's been there 3 years could override someone who's been part of this community for 50 years. And the problem started because they approached me several times wanting to buy my property. And I declined them, telling them we were going to put a home back there. They have a privacy fence with a gate onto my property, and they put a bird feeder up in my trees. Why would you put a gate onto my property if the end game is not to try to get me to sell you this property? It makes no sense. I just wish, I just want y'all to reconsider the denial and allow us to put this manufactured home there. Like I said, it would be an upgrade to the community, not a downgrade. I have a copy of the criminal trespass warrant, and I also have a letter from my sister, who is my neighbor now and will be my neighbor. She lives beside me. Like I said, I could understand if it was a used trailer that was dilapidated, but it's not. It's a brand-new one, top of the line. It would be an improvement to the community, not a downgrade. And like I said, I do understand the complaints of this neighbor, but that's all what they were complaining about. Everything is in regard to this individual who would not leave, that I pressed the criminal trespassing warrant on. He will never be back, ever. I guess that's all.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is anyone else who'd like to speak in favor of this proposal? If not, is anyone here that'd like to speak in opposition? Please come forward and give us your name and address, please.
My name is Sandy Frostline. I live at 19 Hickory, and my property backs up to the property in question. And this is not personal, even though it's been portrayed that way. And yes, we did put up a privacy fence because there's been so much ruckus back there for the last year. And that was part of our presentation before. We sent emails. I don't remember Bryce's last name. And the reason the gate was put up is because when we bought the property, there was already a gate, and we just put it on the existing property line and put the gate there. We did approach Ms. Langston about buying the property, and she turned us down, and that's perfectly fine. Regarding the bird feeder, her son gave us permission to put the bird feeder because it's for, what is the bird?
Red-headed woodpeckers.
Yeah, it's for woodpeckers, and so we put it in the tree. We would more than happy we will remove that if that is what she wants. We are opposing this manufactured home because it does not fit in with Celanese. Celanese is a historical neighborhood. It's all brick homes. And as I said in the last commission meeting, if they would like to put in a brick home, we're not opposed to that. We just do not want to see another manufactured home back there. And what else did you have to say? Are you good?
It's just on the issue of the gate being put up. We were actually given permission, again, to put up the bird feeder, which is actually a birdhouse, which matches the trees. And we were given permission in the beginning to put up a gate so we could have access to just wander through the woods back there. But then all the other, illegal activities, just things were happening back there that we had to put up a privacy fence to eliminate ourselves from it at all hours of the days and nights.
We would have preferred to have kept the original fence that was there because it was an open fence and you could see the beautiful property that Ms. Langston has. The other thing is, we did not bring this motion. She is making it seem like that we did. We did not. We're not part of the zoning thing. We had no idea what the zoning was. And my understanding is with the floodplain, that's the reason that you had to get a special use permit. Again, we're not part of that. We're new to Rome. We don't know that. And I don't know for a brick home if you have to have a special use permit or not. I mean, because I don't know anything about flood zones or things like that. But we do oppose it. We think it doesn't fit in with the historical nature of the neighborhood.
And as far as being the only person that is opposing it, we have actually had several neighbors along that street just because of the things going on that have opposed it but did not want to come forward. So we are the spokespersons, for the group of people.
And also in the packet that was submitted by Bryce, there are numerous emails in there and there were numerous phone calls as well. But again, because they have lived in the neighborhood for so long and they have these relationships with people, that they were concerned about coming out and vocalizing that their opposition to this.
I think that's all we have.
Good. Thank you very much.
And again, we don't wish them any will harm at all, and I'm sorry if it was portrayed that way.
Thank you. Is anyone else who'd like to speak in opposition? If not, we'll close the public hearing, and I ask Commissioner Maxey for a motion on item 2.
I'd like to make a motion to deny this request.
Motion by Commissioner Maxey to deny the request. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hancock. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Commissioner Wallace?
Yes.
Commissioner Maxey?
Yes.
Commissioner Hancock.
Yes.
Vice Chair Waters.
Yes.
Chair Bagby.
Yes.
Motion carries.
The next request is file Z21-09-01, requesting rezoning from community commercial to agricultural residential for the property located at 75 Imogene Drive, Lindale, Georgia, Floyd County Tax Parcel H19113. Turned off for 30 seconds and try again.
Hollis, can you help? There you go.
This is the parcel outlined in red. It is at the end of a cul-de-sac on a private road, I'm not even going to call it a dirt road because it's mostly grass. It does contain a manufactured home on it. This is the area. You might recall last month you had the property to the right of the purple triangle, which is a cell tower. These are all single-family homes. I'm not sure how they got zoned commercial, but the request is to simply change the zoning in case something were to happen to their home so that they would be able to repair it or replace it. These are pictures looking into the property. This does come with a recommendation of approval from staff as well as Planning Commission. I don't anticipate that the applicant or owner will be here tonight simply because of some health problems.
Thank you much, Bryce. We'll open the public hearing on item 3. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the proposal? Seeing none, is anyone here to speak in opposition? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. I'll ask Commissioner Maxey for a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Maxey, second by Commissioner Wallace to approve the recommendation. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Wallace.
Yes.
Commissioner Maxey.
Yes.
Commissioner Hancock.
Yes.
Vice Chair Waters.
Yes.
Chair Bagby.
Yes.
Motion carries.
The next one is file Z21-09-03, requesting rezoning from community commercial to agricultural residential for the property at 84 Imogene Drive, Lindale, Georgia, Floyd County Tax Parcel H19114. And this is actually the property next to the one you just voted on. Once again, it has a manufactured home on it. The property owner became aware of the rezoning, of the zoning, and they became concerned that it is an older home, and should it be damaged or destroyed, she was concerned she wouldn't be able to replace it or repair it. This is the map of the area. As I said, it's on a private drive at the end of a cul-de-sac. These are pictures of the area. This does come with a recommendation of approval from staff as well as Planning Commission, and I don't believe this property owner is going to be here as well.
Thank you very much. We'll open the public hearing. Is anyone here to speak in favor? Seeing none, is anyone here to speak in opposition? If not, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioner Maxey.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Maxey, second by Commissioner Waters to approve this recommendation. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Wallace.
Yes.
Commissioner Maxey.
Yes.
Commissioner Hancock.
Yes.
Vice Chair Waters.
Yes.
Chair Bagby.
Yes.
Motion carries.
The next one, file Z21-09-04, requesting rezoning from community commercial to suburban residential for the property located at 1790 Huffacre Road, Rome, Georgia, Floyd County Tax Parcel F12010. This is the applicant property outlined in red. It has been developed for years as a site-built single-family home. At some point, it was rezoned to community commercial, though I'm not sure why. The applicant is now trying to sell the property, and the proposed buyer reportedly cannot get a mortgage, from what I'm told. More and more appraisers are checking on that, and lending institutions do tend to frown upon it. There is suburban residential to the immediate east. There is also a great deal of heavy industrial nearby. This is a picture looking into the property. Pictures looking up and down Huffacre Road and directly across the street. This does come with a recommendation of approval from staff as well as Planning Commission.
Thank you very much, Bryce. Commissioner Maxey.
Well, we got to have a hearing.
Make a motion to approve.
Let's have a hearing. I'll open the public hearing. Anyone here to speak in favor of this proposal? Seeing none, is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioner Maxey.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Maxey to approve, second by Commissioner Waters. Is any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Commissioner Wallace?
Yes.
Commissioner Maxey?
Yes.
Commissioner Hancock?
Yes.
Vice Chair Waters?
Yes.
Chair Bagby?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And the last one for this evening, file Z21-09-05, requesting rezoning from light industrial to agricultural residential for the portion of the property shown on the plat located at 0 Turkey Mountain Road, Rome, Georgia, Floyd County tax parcel M10W047. This is the full-size parcel. The sliver to the the northeast is this part where he wants to rezone to allow for an agricultural building. This property is currently predominantly wooded, as you can see. There are cows grazing up on the Turkey Mountain Road side of it. This is the zoning map. It's zone light industrial as it currently sits. This is the proposed sliver that he wants to carve out, which I believe is 2.5 acres, I believe. It is adjacent to the pallet warehouse, I guess, is what I'll call it, beside it. This is looking into the property where he had already started preparing for a building for his farm equipment. This does come with a recommendation of approval from staff as well as the Planning Commission.
Thank you very much, Bryce. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this proposal? Seeing none, anyone here to speak in opposition? Seeing none, Commissioner Maxey. We'll close the public hearing and ask Commissioner Maxey for a motion.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Maxey to approve, second by Commissioner Wallace. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Wallace?
Yes.
Commissioner Maxey?
Yes.
Commissioner Hancock?
Yes.
Vice Chair Waters?
Yes.
Chair Bagby?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you much. That concludes our public hearings tonight. Bryce, thank you for your good work. There are no resolutions tonight. I have nothing to report from the chairman's chair. Are there any of you who'd like to make any comments about your committee assignments? Seeing none, we will progress to manager's report. Mr. McCord.
Yes, sir. Quick report on ARPA grant applications due at the end of October. We're developing a list of applications, and also we'll be submitting that to you in the near future. There's some pretty clear objectives and projects that I think we can apply for, such as water and sewer infrastructure, broadband, premium pay. Some other areas that we're looking at is response to negative economic impacts, COVID mitigation and prevention, public health and safety, and among others. Backlog in court cases, response to crime and public safety, and some other areas that we may be eligible for. We've also had some folks reach out to us. I've got a request from the Housing Authority and also a request from Georgia Power under consideration. We're going to put these together, send these out to you guys, and probably will require some assistance with a grant writer. We have reached out to a local consultant and plan to utilize their services on the final documents, but we'll get this out to you in the coming weeks.
Thank you very much. Anything further from you?
No, sir.
Okay. Ms. Harmon, anything from you before we get to you'll be on in the latter part?
I'm prepared at the Commission's request to make a brief report regarding the structure and law related to Senate Bill 202 as it relates to performance reviews for election boards, but I can do that now or when that item comes up on the agenda at the pleasure of the Commission,
Why
Mr.
don't
Chair.
you wait till it comes up in new business? Consent agenda. Ms. Elrod or Mr. McCord, one of y'all want to take item 1?
Yes, sir. Consent agenda is in order. This is a restructuring of class and comp plan in the clerk's office.
Thank you very much. Anything else? Any questions anyone has on the consent? Not, do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Wallace, second by Commissioner Hancock to approve the consent agenda. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Wallace?
Yes.
Commissioner Maxey?
Yes.
Commissioner Hancock?
Yes.
Vice Chair Waters?
Yes.
Chair Bagby?
Yes.
Motion carries.
There's no old business tonight. We have a few items under new business, and I'll ask Mr. McCord if he will lead that discussion.
Yes, sir. Item 1, consider recommendation from purchasing for approval of purchase of one Freightliner 114 SD cabin chassis and a 15-yard tandem dump for the Floyd County Public Works Department from Peachtree Freightliner in the amount of $140,422. This was part of 2017 SPLOST, budgeted at $140. The approval will also include a budget increase of $425 to purchase the 5-year extended warranty. This was the low bid. One disadvantage, it does have a 300-day delivery time, but this was recommended by staff.
Thank you very much. Any questions? If not, do I have a motion on item 1?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wallace, second by Commissioner Maxey to approve item 1. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Wallace?
Yes.
Commissioner Maxey?
Yes.
Commissioner Hancock?
Yes.
Vice Chair Waters?
Yes.
Chair Bagby?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 2, consider agreement with Pride Contracting for project number AP 0219046-41115 for airfield fencing phase 2 at Russell Regional Airport. At the May 25th, 2021 meeting, the Board of Commissioners approved the DOT grant contract for construction of airport fencing project phase 2 at $880,878.27 with an approved local match of $170, $191.75. Pride Contracting provided the low bid for the project at $1,087,680. The scope of the project was reduced with the contractor's approval to fall within the approved grant funding. $759,340 will be paid from Airport Capital Projects Fund, and that is a split between Georgia DOT of $512,825, federal funds of $197,861, and local match $170, $191.75.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion on item 2?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hancock, second by Commissioner Waters to approve the fencing project. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Wallace?
Yes.
Commissioner Hancock?
Yes.
Or, I'm sorry, Commissioner Maxey?
Yes.
Commissioner Hancock?
I don't know now.
I know, I messed it all up.
Yes.
Vice Chair Waters?
Yes.
Chair Bagby?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 3 is a recommendation to approve a new employment contract with Ryan Davis, our facilities manager. We have made some changes in management, especially through COVID, Americans with Disabilities Act over the last several years, and utilizing Ryan for his efforts with process improvement and management. He reports basically to every department head and every elected official due to his responsibilities as facilities manager and custodial manager. This will also adjust the internal equity of him and get him in line with other department leaders. Again, this is a recommendation to approve, and it will be retroactive to July 1, 2021.
Thank you. Do we have a motion on Ryan Davis' contract?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wallace, second by Commissioner Maxey to approve the contract. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Wallace?
Yes.
Commissioner Maxey?
Yes.
Commissioner Hancock?
Yes.
Vice Chair Waters?
Yes.
Chair Bagby?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 5 is consider recommendation to approve Northwest Regional Hospital property in conjunction with City of Rome in the amount of $2.25 million. Floyd County's contribution to be $1.125 million from 2017 SPLOST. This was approved by a vote at City Commission last night for their portion of the purchase. And we have Missy Kendrick, Jimmy Byers, and some Development Authority folks here if you have any questions or comments.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion on item 5?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hancock, second by Commissioner Wallace to approve the Northwest Georgia Regional Hospital long-term project we've been working on here for a long time. So we have a motion to approve. Would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Wallace?
Yes.
Commissioner Maxey?
Yes.
Commissioner Hancock?
Yes.
Vice Chair Waters?
Yes.
Chair Bagby?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Can I make one comment? I said it in caucus, and I want to reiterate it here. I just appreciate Missy and Jimmy and our city and county officials working together to bring this to fruition. It has been going on for a long time, and we just appreciate your good work, and we look forward to what this property will do for the citizens of Rome and Floyd County in the future.
Thank you, guys. I apologize, I skipped over item 4, so I'll back up to our pay plan discussion. In November of 2020, we hired a consultant to review our class and comp plans, and after many years of minimal adjustments and consolidation of 3 plans prior to 2016, I think we got a good survey of communities and organizations similar to our size. At that point, the HR department took the consultant's recommendations and ran those through our class plan, and it was significantly more than we could accomplish. We did, through several management team meetings, work to equitably reduce the percentages and get it into something that we could actually afford as part of our budget. So moving forward, and I'm just asking for your support on moving forward with this logic, we have came up with an amount of money for both clerical, admin, jailers, corrections officers, and equipment operators to try to adjust the pay for some of these folks that have been overlooked or not addressed over the last several years. We've come up with a flat rate amount for each of the categories and do feel like this is going to be the best way to address moving forward. It will actually give the lower pay grades up to a 12.5% increase, and with the higher pay grades receiving a smaller percentage with the flat rates. But we do feel like this will be the best action going forward in at least eliminating any new compression issues that currently exist. The rough estimates for the impact of general fund is $1,086,000. The other funds combined, airport 12.5, forum fund 5,000, recycling fund 12,000, and water fund 83,195. I'm just asking for your support to continue with this plan and concept as proposed and work into the 2022 budget.
Thank you very much. The motion would be to support the concept and to encourage Mr. McCord to continue with this process and to bring us back the final numbers and figures at a later time, but to support the concept. So do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Maxey, second by Commissioner Wallace to support the pay plan concept. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Wallace?
Yes.
Commissioner Maxey?
Yes.
Commissioner Hancock?
Yes.
Vice Chair Waters?
Yes.
Chair Bagby?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Jimmy or Missy, didn't give you the opportunity earlier, should have thought about that. Is anything you'd like to say about the Northwest Georgias? Just a few comments, right quick. This is a big deal for Rome and Floyd County.
I'm not sure I need to come up there. I just want to say thank you for your support of the Floyd County and the city of Rome. It's a joint team effort to make this happen, and we have a wonderful community to represent to our process and for expansions with our existing industry. So thank you all for helping us make it happen.
Thank y'all. It's great work. Thank you, Jimmy. Countless hours are spent by that board and as completely volunteer, so we appreciate it. Item 6, Mr. McCord, you want to lead that?
Yes, sir. About 2 weeks ago, Chair Bagby and Commissioner Wallace and I, along with Judge Nedrak, Judge Sparks, and Sheriff Robertson, met to discuss when we could potentially start looking at opening the forum back up for events. We're all obviously aware of the state of the pandemic and where we're at with the positivity rate and the number of cases. That's not possible at the moment, and it's still being utilized for court operations. But they were very supportive and grateful for the cooperation to this point, allowing them to get back in court and get cases moved for due process, moving along. Cases that had to be held and needed to be held. At one point, they were significantly ahead of any other circuit in the entire state earlier this year. And our intent in August at our joint services meeting was to talk about when we were going to start opening back events. So we were looking forward to the second half of this year to hopefully allow indoor events. And unfortunately, that did not happen. But what they did agree to us in that meeting was allowing us to start scheduling events, beginning January 1st for all areas except the ballroom. And both the judicial staff, judges, and sheriff agreed that we had to keep the ballroom secure, even if we moved back into the courtroom, 100% for jury selection. So I think we all agreed that the facility could be marketed with the ballroom being secluded and not allowed for rent. We also met with tourism staff and Lisa Smith, our CVB director, about our plan for trying to open back up for events and have had multiple requests. Lisa agreed the building could be promoted without the ballroom. We also had conversations with Dr. Vocio later in the week and asked what would be our guideline for these indoor events and allowing indoor events to start taking place again. And it would be less than 100 cases per 100,000 population, would be 98 for Floyd County, and a 5% or less positivity rate they felt like would be safe. And that's coming basically straight from Dr. Toomey, CDC, and other health experts. So we are going to move forward with that. We're also looking at our new operational plan. We will be preparing an RFP over the coming months and weeks. We also are having continued discussions with our tourism director, Lisa Smith, on ways to get the building open and able to be used again, and just crossing our fingers and hope this virus goes away, at least to some level at some point soon. So I just ask for your support on that as well, as far as moving forward with booking events. There obviously will be those benchmarks that we'll have to meet, and anyone that's planning an event will understand those and know that is a variable that they'll have to deal with.
Thank you very much. I think we don't really need a motion on that item, do we? You want it?
I don't know. Aaron, we don't need
I don't think so. No, just your support, again, going forward. Because we're moving, we've already started on the RFP process, and again, Lisa's out of town for a couple of weeks, but we plan on meeting with her when she gets back.
Okay, thank you very much. Item 7 is a discussion on Senate Bill 202. And at this point, I'm going to ask Ms. Harmon to give us some outlines and guidelines on the research she's done. And Virginia, it's up to you to start.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, at the request of the commission, I've, with Mr. Jackson's help, prepared a kind of brief overview of what is known as Senate Bill 202, now codified in Georgia law at OCGA 21-2-105 through 108, with reference to Official Code of Georgia Annotated 21-2-33.2. Senate Bill 202 is a mammoth piece of legislation, and it incorporates a lot of provisions that were beyond the scope, I think, of the particular point of interest that the commission had directed us to focus our attention on, and that is the provisions of that bill as they relate to the ability of this commission to request a performance review of local election officials. So I'll start by stating that no other county has made such a request at this point. There is a performance review panel which has been requested by state representatives and state senators for Fulton County's election board. That panel has been appointed by the state elections board. They have been affected in the progress of their audit of that particular elections office by ensuing litigation. So there's very little information that I can tell you today based on my conversations with other county attorneys, including Fulton County attorneys and the ACCG Council's office about the scope and nature of that panel's activities. They really have not done much that they can relate publicly because of that litigation. But
At this point, the other two bodies, so under OCGA 21-2-106, there are essentially three different avenues through which a performance panel can be requested. And the first of those would be the local governing body, which in our county is our county commission. That particular statute goes on to have a little bit different requirements if such a request comes through the state representatives and state senators that are who can initiate those proceedings. In the case of Floyd County, it would take one state representative and one senator whose districts cover our county to make that request to the State Elections Board. In larger counties like Fulton County, it takes a larger delegation, but that would be the requirement here. And then lastly, actually the State Elections Board can initiate a performance review panel on its own volition. If it, through complaints or otherwise, becomes aware of concerns that would lead it to believe that an audit or a review would be appropriate. So those would be the three methods by which that performance review could be initiated. Once that is done, and again, the only time this has happened has been in Fulton County. That was just done by a letter request from those representatives. I think for this body, although the statute doesn't state that, it would take a resolution passed in the normal course of the business of this commission to request that such a performance review be initiated. If that were transmitted to the State Elections Board, they would then put that matter on their own agenda. That process took some time. In the case of Fulton County, it took about 3 months for it to hit their agenda to have a panel actually named for their purposes. Senate Bill 202 actually made some fundamental changes to the way the State Elections Board does its business, so it took a little more time. I'm not saying that it would take that much time if a request were generated for Floyd County, but I guess the most important point is, other than the State Elections Board initiating a panel, which would be constituted of one member of the elections staff of the Secretary of State of the state of Georgia, and then 2 other elections officials chosen from some jurisdiction other than Floyd County. So it would be a 3-person panel appointed by the State Elections Board. At that point, the State Elections Board has not enacted any other rules or procedures that would necessarily allow me to tell you exactly what would happen next. So there's a little bit of an unknown there. Through inquiries that Mr. Jackson and I have made of other county attorneys and the ACCG's office, we think that that type of review would be based on a similar review process that can be initiated involving tax assessors' offices. We think that is the idea of a structure for the review process, but there's nothing that would require that currently. So there are no rules yet that have been enacted that I can outline for you. But ultimately, under the state statute, that panel would come back and present a report. And that report would be given both to this body, the local governing officials, the State Elections Board, and the Elections Office of the Secretary of State. At that point, that report could run the gamut from a finding of no issues to recommendations structurally. There's really no, it would be their report and recommendations based upon their review. that could end the process. I'm sorry. That could end the process. There is a provision under the codification of Senate Bill 202 that would allow either the local body, governing body, or the state elections board to then petition for some extraordinary relief that could include removal of local election officials, but that is under an entirely different code section, and that process could not be initiated by the state legislative body. That would only be the local governing officials or the state elections board itself. There are appellate rights, and that proceeding is governed by the Administrative Procedures Act of the state of Georgia. So there are rules that would be followed in regard to a preliminary hearing that could then be appealed by the local elections board. So that is a general overview. Again, we tried to find out more about just the nuts and bolts of what the review panel's activities would be. I can tell you that the statute does require that Floyd County cover all the cost of that performance review panel. I don't know, I don't have any other context to report back to you on what to expect in terms of those costs. Those costs would be borne by the county through the end of even the preliminary hearing, if it went that far. At that point, if there was an appeal, the elections officer appealing the decision would have to bear their own expense unless they were successful. And if they are ultimately successful in their appeal, then those costs would come back to the county as well. So that would really be the structure and the overview and the context for Senate Bill 202 as it's been codified, and to the extent that we could find any additional information out that might be helpful to the commission.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Harmon. I'll open up for questions of Ms. Harmon, if you'd like to ask. Well, we're up here now and out of a public hearing. Sorry about that, Mark.
I don't have a question for Ms. Harmon. I just, as a commissioner, it is really hard to be put in this position that we are currently in. I feel like the integrity of our whole community is on the line, and I'm not saying that our elections office did anything wrong, but it's like almost an attack of the election office or elections. I don't know that most of you take it personal. I don't know that it is a personal vendetta against the people working in the election office, or if it is that we just want to make sure that we've done the right thing. So as far as the commission and far as me personally, I think that this is a way and a tool to use to bring back integrity to our communities. So however we vote, and I don't have any idea if we're going to do anything or if it's going to be a discussion, but I think the anger and the tone of people's voices and how they express their concerns toward each other is very disrespectful, and that does bother me because I think we have people on that board that work very hard, and there's people in that office that have worked through a lot of turmoil, right or wrong, make mistakes or not, but they have worked through a lot of turmoil. And we, as the commission, are sitting here, and y'all are demanding that we make a decision when we don't really know exactly what we should do. This does give us a tool to move forward, to maybe get some answers from a different panel from somebody outside of our community. So that's sort of my thoughts.
So I'll end it there.
I will just add, I don't disagree with anything that Commissioner Wallace said. One thing that I personally would like to see is an opportunity for the Elections Board to respond to this board with all of, I think we've got 4 letters now, Mark, or 3 or 4, a new one today maybe. I would like for the Elections Board to have an opportunity to respond to those concerns. And that's what I see them as, they're concerns. And in doing that, I would like for us to come to some sort of resolution at our next meeting, October 12th, make a decision on where we plan to go with this. I appreciate your perseverance, but I also appreciate the hard work this volunteer board has done, and I would like to give you the opportunity to provide this board your responses to those allegations, is basically what they are. That's just me personally.
Well, I'd like to, I feel, Scotty, and then I'll go to you. I feel the same way. Through no fault of anybody's, it just happened. I think several of us.
Right, we can't hear you.
Yes, sorry about that. Through no fault of anyone's, the last presentation that you as a group made and the letters that Mark written were not sent to the election board until I think Friday of last week, which was a mistake on our part. That was not intended by anybody, it's just, it happened. And so I would fall in the line with Commissioner Waters, that I would like to take, Mark, mainly yours, because yours was in writing, and present, give the copies of that and make sure all of the documents are in the hands of the election office, and see if they would like to have the opportunity to respond to any of that, and then we would move on. But that's what I believe is the right thing to do. Scotty.
Well, I tend to agree with Commissioner Wallace, and I agree to a sense with what Allison and Wright said. But one of the things that bothers me as a commissioner sitting up here, and this Sunday at church, our pastor talked about this, and this is just as mankind. And there's a quote, I'm trying to make sure I get it right, from Mark Twain. It basically says that being kind, the deaf can read it and the blind can see it. So think about that when you're getting up here speaking and you're approaching the commission, you know, and you're talking about people that are in this room. Be decent about it. There's a way to present your case and be decent about it without being vindictive and going after somebody, because there's nobody, I can assure you that there is nobody that has intentionally, that I know of, broken any laws intentionally, that I know of. Now, there may be something that may come out of that later, but if there is, I don't know about it. So, I mean, then, in order to be criminal, there has to be some kind of intent. But I do think that Senate Bill 202 is a tool that was put there for a reason, for situations just like we're dealing with here. You know, the thing that puts us in an awkward position is we're the ones that appoint the elections board. So we appoint them from the commission, but once we appoint them, then we leave them alone, and it's intentionally set up that way so that local elected officials don't interfere with the elections process. That way, no one can accuse me or anybody on this board of interfering with any election or being involved in the process, because then it is tainted at that point. And that may happen other places, but I can assure you this board has not interfered in any way. We've been more than hands off to try to figure out how to do this. But I personally support the Senate Bill 202, and I personally would like to see us do something and here's why, and I'm going to give you my reason. It's not an attack on our board. If anything, it would be to clear our board of any wrongdoing. So if we did do this Senate Bill 202, it has every opportunity to come back and say, well, there's nothing founded to this. Mark, there's nothing founded to your letter. We did an open investigation. It's unfounded, you know, case closed. Or it could come back and it could say, just like Virginia said, well, there's some issues here that we need to resolve, and here's a recommendation on how you fix it. You do X, Y, and Z, and this comes from the state elections board that tells us how to fix any problems that we have with our election process. So I don't see it as an attack on our elections board, and I don't see it as going against anything that this side says or going with what this side says. I see it as a tool that gives us an opportunity to clear the air, and it takes us as a commission out of it and gets a second opinion from somebody else to come in here and look at our elections process, clear the air, and tell us if there's anything that we need to do, since as an elected official, I can't go and do a deep dive into what's going on the elections board. All I can do is ask some questions, and, through Jamie or through Wright or the chair, or, whoever, but in order to do a deep dive, we have to have somebody else come in here and do that. That's where I stand on it. And I understand, giving them a chance to respond, but no matter what their response is going to be, we're still going to have this coming back to us at the next meeting and the next meeting and the next meeting. Because that's going to be, there's a trust issue, and unfortunately, it's nationwide. And it's not caused by one side or the other, it's caused by both sides.
Thank you very much. I know you have your hand up, but we've kind of gone past the public participation part of it. That was.
I just had a question related to the discussion at hand right now.
Well, if you could, we'll be up here when it's over. If you could come and do, if that's okay with you, that's kind of our rules of operation. So we're going to do that. But if there's no further discussion, then I'm going to make sure that Larry.
I'd like to say that my only concern is that we have been the first in several different projects. This is going to be the first from a county to do this. We've been the first in a couple other projects, and it wound up costing the county substantial money when we went on some other outfits we've done, and we were the first one that tried it, and it had not been tried, so I don't know. I wish there was some other case. It was a new law, and we'd be the first one that's doing this as a county. Is that right?
That's correct.
Did I understand that right?
There's been no previous county that has initiated this procedure.
Mr. Maxey's comments were he wished that there were other communities that had done this so we would have an estimate of money or cost of what it would cost, because the county is on the hook. And I think that's what you said, right, Larry? Yeah, that's basically what he said. It is hard to hear. We're sorry. It's still really hard for us to hear, too.
The acoustics in here are horrible.
We've got a dome here that at some point in the 1800s was supposed to increase acoustics, and I can guarantee you that it does not. So I'm sorry about that, but we do the best we can on it. If there's no further action, I will make sure that tonight the documentation is given to. I will make sure that the documentation is given to Melanie. John Scott is here,
Right, can I ask one favor?
Yes, you can, Scotty.
Since we're having an open discussion, I will agree to do that if we take action at the next meeting, give them 2 weeks to respond, and then take action whether we want to do Senate Bill 202 or if we don't want to do it.
Well, I can guarantee you that it'll be put on the agenda. Then it'll have to be, there'll have to be a motion to bring it up.
I'll make a motion at the next meeting.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but it will be on the agenda.
All right.
So I will get those documents tonight to Melanie, John Scott, and Corey, and make sure that they have what they need. And we appreciate all of you doing what you do. Everybody has passion about things, and we understand that. And so if there's no further business.
Well, if the election board receives those documents that we have, will y'all acknowledge that to the whole commission board so we will know that they are done, because we sort of all thought y'all had them at the last meeting. So I'm sorry that you didn't get them, because we all thought that you did. And I'll just have to say, too, before we close, that I do think that Senate Bill 202, even though we do not know the cost and no other communities have done it, that it is just a tool that the state has put in place in order to bring back integrity to all elections. And our state representatives, we've all had conversations with them, and so we'll continue those conversations. But just remember one thing when you leave here today, just be respectful of each other, because that, at the end of the day, that is what's important, and that's what we want. We want to have a fair election as well. So thank you all for your time. That would be an Aaron Elrod question.
Our draft minutes are posted as soon as they're completed online, and then the approved minutes are posted as soon as they've been approved by the commission. And so the minutes from last meeting, since they're approved, will be on our website first thing in the morning.
Did you get that?
If you can assure me of that, I would be pleased.
Yeah, well, we're
I
telling.
looked at the minutes on Friday morning, the 24th. Okay.
We didn't approve those. We did not approve those until today.
They're not officially, the draft documents will be put on there in the morning. But and that gives us all an opportunity to read them and look at them and make sure there are no distractions in them.
I'm sorry, which meeting were you looking for today?
I was just looking to see that this board is administratively following the law in regards to the timely posting of the minutes. According to what I read, is that they are supposed to be voted on at the subsequent meeting,
Right.
which would be 2 weeks, and then they are to be posted immediately thereafter. Okay. I found on September 24th, when I looked it up, looking for 2 weeks prior to meetings to be there, the last meeting minutes that were posted were from the 22nd of August. Okay, that's over a month. So I'm just asking, is it going to be timely posted?
We had a 3-week gap between meetings because there were 5 Tuesdays in the month of August. And so that changed the timing of it. So you did have an extra week in there for those minutes to be approved. So the last minutes that would have been on the website would have been the last meeting in August, because we just approved the minutes from September tonight.
I'm new at this, so bear with me as I learn.
I apologize, but can we do this after we adjourn?
We're gonna.
We have police here. I mean, that's all we can do. Let's don't get childish. We have the law enforcement here at every meeting, so if you're being intimidated, let one of them know.
Okay, thank you very much. During caucus tonight, we did go into executive session to discuss a personnel matter, a legal matter, and a property matter, and no action was taken in caucus. So with nothing further to come before the group, we stand adjourned.